Miles right, on. Company halt. Company will run. Company press. Right. Company halt.
Folks, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the
Order
stairs, I'd
off.
greatly appreciate it.
In place, rest.
Well, welcome and good afternoon. We're glad that you're here with us today and are able to enjoy our Living History Infantry demonstration. This is the last one for the day, and we have something special at the very end. So please stick around, especially for those who might have seen one of two of our other programs today. We've added something, so just saying. Where you're at right now is the best location not only to see but also to be safe. Although we are not firing projectiles, they are using live black powder, which does mean that it does give off little pieces of black powder and paper and even flame. So we don't want you to be in our range. So right where you're at is the best location. In addition to that, as you can imagine, it might be a bit loud. It's not continuous, but if you do have any hearing sensitivities, we ask that you cover your ears, turn down any listening devices that you may have, and please hold on to the puppy dogs because we don't know if they're gun shy or not. And I don't see any small children, so normally puppies and small children, you know. But with that, we hope you enjoyed today's program. With us is the Living Historian group known as the 79th Pennsylvania and the 31st Alabama. What does that mean exactly? Because one is Union, one is Confederate. Well, today they're Union, tomorrow they will be Confederate. They actually portray both Union and Confederate soldiers. Jason here will tell you a little bit about what it's like to be a soldier during the American Civil War, as well as a little bit of information about here at Kennesaw Mountain. And then we'll wrap it up with our firing. Again, we just ask that you stay right here and please enjoy the program.
Right, my name is Jason Sumner. I'm captain of the 79th Pennsylvania, 31st Alabama. So it's a privilege and honor to be able to be here and put on this program in the National Park Service, especially at Kennesaw, as both of our designations, federal and Confederate, are engaged or here. The 79th Pennsylvania held in reserve, so they did not actually see combat, but they were here towards the Union Center in the rear. And then the 31st Alabama, which was engaged here on the far left of the Confederate line in a skirmish deployment, and then later at Cold Farm, the action there. So it's an honor to be here to portray both. We're talking to you a little bit today about our company, what we do, the gear we wear, the equipment, and why. I'm going to go through some of our basic drill maneuvers so that you can see kind of some of the stuff we do. And then we're going to do our firing demonstration. So we'll do 3 different firings, and then I will break down the loading in 9 times for you. And then after that, we're going to see if some of my boys here can fire 3 rounds in 1 minute's time. So you might want to help me out. I'm going to need somebody to time that, okay? And you can give them grief if they don't make it. I give you full permission to my blessings to taunt them and all of that. We're going to see if they can pull it off. It's not an easy task. A good soldier in the American Civil War can fire 3 rounds in 1 minute. We'll see if they're up to the challenge or not. So, with that being said, we'll begin. I'm going to go through a couple of our basic drill maneuvers that we do. In the Civil War, there were 2 different manuals of instruction that were primarily used. For the Confederacy, it was the Hardy Guard manual, or not Hardy Guard, the Hardy manual, sorry. Hardy manual of instruction, and then you had the Casey manual used on the Union side. There are some minute differences between the two. We predominantly use Hardy when we do Confederate and Casey when we do Union, but sometimes there's some interchanging. In addition to that, some of it's pretty universal, especially the basic drills. So I'm going to go through that now and explain why we do some of it, okay? So with that, company, attention, company, shoulder, arm. So when at attention, they're at what we call order arms. This is when the gun's on the ground like it just was beside them. And then I immediately called them to shoulder arms. This is where they bring the gun up beside them. And notice their fingers make that letter C around the trigger guard. This is the basic operable condition or position of the rifle. From here, I can give any number of commands and move that gun wherever I need it or do anything with them. Company. All right, shoulder shift, on. Notice that they bring the gun up beside them to a higher elevation. They bring that lock plate up even with their face. If you're wondering why I would want them to elevate that gun, this is because usually they go to this position when they're running. This is used when we're moving in rapid succession, either on an enemy position or when I'm moving them into a formation rapidly because maybe we're engaging the enemy or being fired upon. So this is what we call right shoulder shift. It's done when they're at the double quick. They're moving very quickly. Company, shoulder on. Company, support on. In this position, they're going to move that gun to the other side, turn it around, putting that lock plate right in the crook of their elbow where they can hold that gun. Now, why would I have another carrying position? Well, these men are moving across large distances. They're marching sometimes 20, 25 miles in a day. They become fatigued, they become tired. If you're holding this gun like this all day, your arm is going to be killing you, right? So moving that gun around, giving them some options on how to carry that gun, relieves some of that fatigue. That's primarily the reason for it, but you know, we like to change it up once in a while too, because these men spent entire days moving from one area to another, marching. It's a long time. Sometimes they'll carry at will, but we like this one as well. Company, shoulder on. Company, trail on. This particular move or position, this would have been in a situation where I need to move through an obstacle in my front. Maybe I've got the men going through a thicket or thick brush, briars, all of that stuff, low-hanging branches. I don't want those straps or musket barrels hitting those branches. I'm going to have them move to a position that's more comfortable for them to get through the obstruction. The other issue is they need to be able to get that gun back up and fire in rapid succession if, say, we emerge from that thicket or whatever we're going through, and the enemy position is right there to their front. So this is another reason for this trail arms position. So it's made to aggress through obstructions. Company, shoulder on. Company, secure on. This particular command is quite useful. You can imagine on the move that sometimes the weather catches up with you. It's not always sunny wherever we are, unfortunately. The rain does tend to find us. We were worried about that last night, actually, but here we are, dry and alive. So, but on the move, when you're marching, sometimes the weather catches up with you, and you need to keep your barrel dry. If water got down your barrel, your black powder is ruined. Your gun is inoperable, not good, right? Especially if the enemy is nearby. So you want to keep that barrel dry. In order to do that, keep the barrel of the gun towards the ground and keep those lock plates covered up. This way water cannot get into the gun, keeping your barrel dry. That way the gun is operable at all times. Company, shoulder, arms. Company, order, arms. Company, fix, bayonets. Notice they move the gun to the left foot. They turn the gun completely around when the ramrod is facing in. Their bayonets are kept on that front side, so this way they can quickly withdraw the bayonet and affix it to the gun. Then they'll bring it back to order arms, and from here I can go anywhere, do whatever I need them to do. Company. I would say charge bayonets. Go ahead and show them what that looks like. Company, charge bayonets! There it is. We're going to charge you, we're going to yell, and then come at you. It's supposed to be intimidating. You get about 10, 11,000 guys doing that, you might be a little bit intimidated, just a little bit. Company, recover, arms. Company, order, arms. Company, unfix bayonets. Poor Alexander, we don't have a bayonet yet. He's one of my newer guys, but he's here, and I'm watching, so it's all right. It's all good. At this time, I'm going to bring up young Browning. Private Browning, Taylor, come on now. No, this is Private Taylor Browning. He's a good young man. He's one of the youngest members of my company, but he has an excellent impression, and he's my guinea pig. So for this, I'm going to talk about what he's wearing and why, right? Because fashion is all the rage in the American Civil War. That's why if you're going to fight, you got to have the right stuff. So let's look at his uniform first. It's a standard issue uniform for a Union soldier in the period. We have the blue fatigue blouse or sack coat, if you will. And then underneath that, he's got a gray vest on. You can't see it because it's covered up, but it's there. It's a nice gray vest. Under that, he has a cotton Ossenberg, this like shirt. Augsburg being a very popular material. Not all undershirts are going to be the same though. There's not really a uniformity there. They do have contracts, and there are variants on contracts to provide the underclothing for these men. They can be anything from wool to cotton blends to a number of other materials. So those usually going to be private purchase. Sometimes you have government contract, you have a specific undershirt. Just depends on season, time, supply chain, all those things. And then his trousers, going to be the sky blue variant, JT Martin contract, and he's got brogans on as well. Brogans are standard issue. JT Martin contract trousers would have been a contract provided by JT Martin Company, which produced uniforms and clothing for the United States Army during this period. And then he's wearing a kepi. Notice that he's got that brim turned up. Have you ever heard that term, cockeyed? You want to know where it comes from? The American Civil War, because all the boys wear their hats sideways, because that's the neat look of the period. So that's where that comes from. Of course, he's into two cockeyed right now. We'll let him pass. All right, in addition to this, he's got a Springfield musket, 61 or 63? 61 Springfield musket, standard issue of the United States Army from Springfield Armory. Great weapon and very excellent in its condition. There's two variants during the war, predominantly 61 and then 63 model issues later. His equipment that he's carrying, his accoutrements, well, he's got his U.S. issued belt, and on it, his U.S. issued belt plate. Very proud to be an American. Going to feature the United States right here. In addition to that, on the other side, on his right, he's got his cap pouch, percussion caps, which he'll use to charge that weapon. And then he's got his cartridge box. These men were issued cartridge boxes. Typically, his cartridge boxes would have 2 metal tins inside of them. In those tins, on the top, you would have 20 rounds, 10 in each box. Loose, that you could just pull out, draw, and load and go down. Beneath that, you would have an opening where you would have arsenal packs. You'd have 2 arsenal packs. The arsenal packs, you have 10 rounds and then a sleeve of percussion caps, usually about 12 in a tube. So there's that. These are quite heavy, by the way, especially when they're loaded with actual ammunition. It is not light. Around him, he's got what we like to call a horse collar. A lot of soldiers did not like the knapsacks. They're very cumbersome. Now, U.S. issued, we got anybody wearing one right now? Okay, y'all smart, so there we go. They're heavy, they're cumbersome, and very uncomfortable. Soldiers do not like them. The double bag knapsack is a very popular, especially early war implement, but a lot of boys prefer the horse collar, myself included. Any personal effects I'd have, extra clothing, shirts, socks, whatever, I could roll up in my blanket. This is a U.S. emergency blanket. This is his bedding right here around him. It is his life right here. And if we turn him sideways, folded around the back of it, see he's got it tied off right there. And then folded around it is his gum blanket. Now the gum blanket can be used for several different things. Number one, to lay down on the ground, to lay down on top of. So it provides a barrier between him and the ground. If he's on the march, he's got it folded right here so that he can reach behind him, he can draw it out, and put it over him if he's on the move and cover himself from rain and elements. So he can use it as a poncho as well. In some situations, he's laying on the ground, he wants to stay warm. Have you ever heard the term fart sack? Have you ever heard that? I'm gonna throw it out there. This comes from the war as well. These men would take their gum blanket and put their blanket down on top of the gum blanket and then roll it over. It'd make kind of like a sleeping bag. And believe it or not, that rubberized surface, it would actually lock in some heat. So a lot of men do that as well.
Can you say that word again?
Fart sack.
Are you saying F-A-R-T?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Sorry.
For lack of better words, that's what they called it. So documented. Okay, in addition to that, he's got his lifeline right here. The most important item that he's carrying right here is his canteen. And within that canteen is life. It's water. Most important thing these men could have with them is water, something to drink, stay hydrated. Not only that though, not only for drinking, cooking, but also to keep that weapon clean and in operable condition. These men in camp, when they're in camp, the majority of the time, they spend cleaning their guns. They're always cleaning and servicing their guns. These guns rust very quickly. So spend a lot of time and care keeping those guns in firing condition. Beneath that, he's got his haversack. His haversack is the mobile kitchen. This is where his rations are. They would draw rations every 3 days. 3-day increment of rations were issued. They would try, if they were in a stationary position, go ahead and cook as much of that as they could and then load down their haversack. One of the big things of the war, from a lot of the accounts that I've read, documents, and primary sources, are that they were horrendous in smell. There was always an odor. So yeah, you can imagine food in that haversack, and it's a mixture of everything. You might have sugar and mixed with all kinds of different things. You never knew what you were going to pull out of there, right? So that is the basic soldier's outline. Now, the other thing I have not mentioned is his bayonet. Bayonets attribute to a very low number of casualties in the war. They just are not as widely used to stab and kill people as people like to believe. It's, I think, less than 1% of all total casualties in the war are attributed to the bayonet. But this thing is the multi-tool of the war. It is multifaceted in purpose and use. So, I can cook with this thing. I can take salted pork, salted beef, and roast it, skewer it over a fire, put it on a stick, and just let it sit. Or I can take dough. I can make flour water from my rations, make dough, wrap that around it, and put that over a fire as well, and cook with it. Or I can use this to dig. It's not a great digging tool, but it does work. We've actually dug with them. We've done it. So they're good for that. I can put it in the ground, use it as a stake for my tent. Or I can put a candle in here, and if I want to write home and tell my family, hey, send me something. I'm miserable out here, send a care package. I can do that. Or just let them know that I'm doing okay. A lot of soldiers write a lot. They're sending post home to their families. They need light, because when they stop moving, it's dark usually. So there's that purpose for it. Okay, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and position them for the firing demonstration. Before I do I have any questions about any of the stuff I went over? Okay, good. All right, well, we'll move into the firing demonstration. I'm going to maneuver the company into place. Company, done. Shoulder on. Company, reverse, left, wheel, mark. Company, halt. Company, order on. Company, rest in place. I'm gonna let them get out of the way first. So I don't want to startle anybody. So the first
visitors, we don't like them being our target.
Yeah. For our first firing demonstration, I'm going to give them the order to fire by rank, which means our rear rank here will fire first, and then our front rank. Okay. This is typically done in rapid succession. One rank fires while the other reloads. So the rear rank would always fire first and then immediately proceed to reload, while the front rank fired, and then hopefully by the time the front rank is fired, your rear rank would be almost loaded or ready to proceed to firing. Yes. Company, shoulder on, forward, on. Company, halt. Company, load. All right, so this is going to be loud. If you've got little ones, I don't want them to be startled. Just know that it's going to be loud. If you guys want to cover your ears, you can cover your ears, but you're completely okay. So. When they have finished loading, typically these men will come to the shoulder bearing their firearm. That lets me know that they're loaded and they're ready to fire. Detail, fire by rank, rear rank, ready, aim, fire! Front rank, ready, aim, fire! Cover off, order on, load. So typically you would have a lot of men doing that in rapid succession all the way down the line. For our next firing demonstration, we're going to do what's called fire by files from the right. This is typically used in a skirmish formation. So I would have file partners actually broken out and spread out in advance of the main line. And they do kind of like this hopscotch deal. One partner fires and then immediately reloads while the other advances past him, kneels, fires, immediately reloads while he gets up, advances past him, fires, reloads. So it's kind of like leapfrog in a way. And they would do this in advance of the main force of the Army. in order to buy time, usually for the main force to deploy behind them. Detail. Fire by files from the right. And when this order is given, the actual firing order will come from the man in the rear rank. Detail. Commence firing.
Ready. Aim. Fire.
Ready. Aim. Fire. Misfire. That's okay. Recover on.
Ready. Aim. Fire.
Company, load! Tamp it down real good. Alright, and so if you can imagine a full company strength or regiment doing that spread out down the line, when they get to the last set of file partners, no order is given. The entire regiment or company at that time will commence independent fire on their own volition unless an order is given to cease fire. So they immediately go into an independent fire situation. For the last one, we're going to do fire by detail. This is where the entire group of men fire at one time. A full company is 100 men. So you think 100 strength men company firing in 2 ranks at one time into the enemy. The idea is to throw as much lead or ammunition into the opposing enemy's front. It's the most destructive way to inflict casualties and attrition on the enemy. Now, granted, when you exemplify that with larger numbers, and then you also have a situation where you have an increase in technology, because this is a Napoleonic war tactic, you get rifling in your guns. This becomes extremely destructive very quickly, as we find out at First Manassas when the war breaks out. Detail. Fire by detail. Ready! Aim! Fire! Cover on! Water on! Company! Reverse right wheel. Shoulder arms. March. Company halt. Company take 2 steps forward. March. Company halt. Rest. Very good. Order arms in place. Rest. There you go. All right, for this demonstration, I'm going to do load in 9 times with Private Carl here. And what he's going to do is he'll actually go through the motions while I get the commands. And I'll explain to you what they're doing, okay? So, first one, order arm. Load. So the first thing he'll do is take cartridge. He'll remove a cartridge from his box. He'll tear the cartridge with his teeth. The requirement to be in the Army was that you had 2 front teeth so that you could tear the cartridge. He's got it in his hand. Charge cartridge. He pours the cartridge, seats the Minave off. Remove rammer. Removes the rammer. Charge barrel. Rams the rammer down. Return rammer. Returns his rammer. Prime. He brings the gun up across his front. All right. He will remove the old primer or the old cap. He's going to take a new cap out. He's going to fix it on the nipple of the gun. Now he is ready to fire the gun. I'm going to have him turn. Ready! Aim! Fire! Order off! Thank you, Carl. So, 9 times. Anytime we taught that, it was a strategy. It was taught in 9 steps. So that's how they learn. Now, we're going to try this. Anybody got their phone out? All right, we're ready to go. We'll see how they do, okay? Where are my 3? Come on up. Oh, Carl's here? All right, gentlemen, I'm going to have you turn sideways, please. Facing this direction, a little bit out.
Go up a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to go up right here. 3. There you go. Halt. I want to be sure they can see you now. I don't want them to think you're cheating. All right. Since this is a little bit of a speed thing, I'm just going to give them the order to fire by company You guys ready? All right. Detail. Commence independent fire. Sir.
I'd like to ask, what if they were shooting real bullets? What is the order? Put in the powder first, and then
When the cartridge goes into its charge, when it charge barrel, when that cartridge is, powder is at the bottom of the round, and the actual minute ball is in the cartridge. So it's seated, it's towards the bottom in here, but when you set it in, it's facing up. So when you run the rammer down, you're actually pushing the bullet in. It's all right there together.
okay, that's the reason.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Y'all better hurry up. Let's go, let's go. I got money on this. Woo!
My caps kept falling off.
It's all right.
Look at that.
Now, Draven over here with a flintlock did this in a minute, 6 seconds. 1 minute, 4 seconds.
Yeah, beat my time. Yeah.
1 minute, 4, and then, Brett, not quite, but better luck next
We'll
time.
take a minute 4. That's good.
Yeah. All right, y'all, that is our presentation.
About 2 seconds.
Are there any questions that I can answer? Yes, sir.
So what happens like if you have a misfire?
In a situation where I have a hang fire, like in that particular situation, your gun did go off after that, right? No, it did not. So we're going to go over there. We'll clear it. During the war, if they had a hang fire, we had a couple of instances of this in the war. Now, sometimes you'd have a green private, first engagement. They just kept loading the gun. They have found guns with like multiple rounds packed down the barrel. In the case of what we do as living historians, when we have a hang fire, misfire like that, typically we'll go somewhere and dump the powder.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll probably do here in a minute
But
if
you
we
still
can't
have
get
the
the fire.
You still have the bullet in the barrel, right?
You did, and in some cases, if you have an obstruction in the barrel, what we would use is called there's a attachment that goes on the end of the ramrod that screws on there. It's called a worm. So it's like twisted corkscrew kind of with hooks on it, and we would take it down there, or there's a screw, and the screw would drill into that soft lead on the round, and then you would use that to extract. We've used both of those to clear obstruction.
Like bullets that we found not only here but across all battlefields, Civil War era battlefields. There are times you will find what we call pulled rounds. So that is a bullet that's got stuck and they have extracted it, and literally at the top of the bullet there is like this scraping around the top and typically a hole in the very nose of it.
Yeah.
And that's where that kind of corkscrew, the word comes and it catches and it will pull it out.
I did this 2 months ago at the Boy Scout reservation I was at on a modern black powder firearm, where I had to take one of from my hobby, from this, and I had to extract a round that had gotten stuck because the gun had become fouled up just because of the humidity.
Wow.
So it does happen. They have tools to remove it. Even during the Civil War era, they would use these tools. So, oh yeah, it happens. It's happened often. Not with these guns though, because I make them clean them quite religiously, and it's a big investment for us. So we take very good care of our guns. But sometimes these things happen. So you have to have tools prepared for that. Usually your sergeant would carry gun tools on him. Ours does. And we would actually have him, if we're in a fight, he's in the rear line. The second sergeant is in the back in a battalion formation. He's 4 paces out of the actual line. If there's an obstruction, he will give his musket to whomever, take their musket, and usually he's good about very quickly clearing that obstruction. Yeah, here's an example of some of these tools. This is a nipple wrench, and that's a nipple pick. There's also another device that's used to work on the gun as well, where you can reset the sear spring and another other item. So, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
And good job, minute 4 seconds. We'll work on that. He would have still failed Army school though.
Oh man.
With that being said, gentlemen, fall back in the line. First sergeant, return them to the camp with my compliments. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time today. I would like to personally invite you back to our encampment right on the hill. We have all kinds of wonderful things to look at, original artifacts as well, some even from this battle, and a whole bunch of weapons and other cool things to check out. So please come on over and check out our wares. So that's it.
Dr. Sumner, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hopefully soon.